The Bootleg Boys back on the clock at number 3 overall with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm curious to hear what you guys are thinking with the Cardinals, as well as maybe potential trade down. People talk about this opportunity all the time. So if you want to do that, you talk that out as well.
So EJ and I were kind of discussing this before we went on. Oh,
that's good, because Connor and I don't discuss anything, and we literally plan the show on the show, and the listeners now realize that they are truly a part of the show because they're in the planning meetings, because we don't talk beforehand.
It's nice to kind of keep things spontaneous, but one of the reasons why EJ and I were talking about it is because we control both sides of a potential trade here. And we were talking about, what exactly are the Cardinals going to do? Obviously, the Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson or Jalen Carter, whoever, right? Great players. They got holes like everywhere. And they need picks. They need assets. They don't necessarily need to spend the 3rd overall pick to fill that hole, because this is a very talented defensive line class, and they obviously need defensive line anywhere. And so something that EJ and I were discussing, and EJ, I want to take your temperature on this, because the whole Tom Brady to Vegas thing that we all assume was going to happen fell apart. And because it definitely seems like Jimmy Garoppolo was a break glass in case of emergency thing, are we still thinking sending the Raiders up to 3 to go get a guy to develop behind Jimmy G?
This comes down to the conversation of who would they go to get, right?
Yes.
Stroud and Young are off. You're going to have to give up significant capital to move from 7 to 3. And it would be nice for Arizona, but it is also nice for the Raiders. And with their current coaching staff, I don't see them as a great fit to try and develop Richardson. And I don't think they're in on Levis at all. Certainly not trading up to get Levis now. If he falls to 7, that might be a different conversation. So while the Cardinals want to trade this pick, the most likely team they would trade it with is the Colts. And the Colts are sitting at 4, and they're pretty sure that the Cardinals aren't going to take a quarterback at 3. So why give up a pick when you're going to get the player anyways? So it leaves Arizona in a bit of a quandary. I don't think Vegas is sold for the 2 top remaining quarterbacks on the board, and certainly not to move up to do it. And I also think they're a little bit more in on Jimmy G than all their fans would like them to be. I believe they think that's their starter moving into the season. Whether or not you like that or not as a Raiders fan is a whole separate conversation.
So are you thinking stick and pick then?
I think it's going to be tougher to trade that pick for the Cardinals unless somebody is absolutely dead on locked on Richardson and does not want the possibility of him going to the Colts, because I think that is a real possibility.
Well, let me ask you guys this. At controlling Detroit, would you come up to 3?
I don't think I would, Trevor. Would you? I'm intrigued by coming up for Anthony Richardson, but I also think Detroit's in a spot where they can win with Goff right now and not have to surrender. I mean, even from 6 to 3, I feel like the assets are pretty significant in that move, unless Arizona just wants out of the pick no matter what.
Yeah.
I just think Arizona wants assets. That's all.
Yeah.
Arizona would definitely look to move down. It's so when I look at a potential trade up for the teams that we're controlling, my mind actually goes to Atlanta. And I wonder if Atlanta looked at passing up on Justin Fields a couple of years ago and kind of the quarterback situation that they've been ever since. Obviously, they didn't expect things to end the way that it did with Matt Ryan, but here they are. We've talked about Atlanta being a destination for Lamar Jackson. Why? Because it feels perfect, right? Arthur Smith, what he does in the run game, being able to marry that with the weapons that they have in the pass game with Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Their offensive line up front are just a bunch of earth movers in the run game. Tyler Algier is a great guy to lean on as they continue to build out that room. Does Arthur Smith and do the Falcons look at Anthony Richardson's dual threat ability and go, this is the guy? This unlocks what Smith might really want to do on offense. And I just find it very interesting. Maybe it's just a straightforward thing, or maybe there's a hidden meaning to it. But I was very surprised that Atlanta came out right away and just said, no, we're not interested in Lamar Jackson at all. Because it's like, okay, this is one of the teams that should absolutely at least talk to the guy. But then, it feels like the NFL was kind of in on it and nobody wanted to do that. So they brought the price down. A little bit of collusion there, but well.
It's a little light collusion. That's
it's just a little sprinkle of collusion as the NFL typically does during the offseason. But that's all that to say. That's where my mind goes. Does Atlanta look at their quarterback spot, believe that this guy is so talented, unbelievable dual threat, could be perfect for what Arthur Smith wants to do? Connor, we control number 8. Do you think this is something that we should have the Falcons do and what we would do mock draft? Or do you think they should stay at number 8? What do you think?
Yeah, I do. I mean, they also have an infrastructure that Anthony Richardson doesn't have to play right away. They gave Taylor Heineke legitimate backup quarterback money. If Desmond Ridder just doesn't have it in this camp or out of the gate, whatever road they go down. So do I think Atlanta does this? No, but this is what we would do. And I think we should explore moving up to 3. Atlanta's in no man's land. Like, yeah, maybe you get Christian Gonzalez there, and he's an awesome player, and you'd love to watch him in that secondary. But what is the future at quarterback for the Falcons? Maybe Ridder works out. That'd be great. Awesome for them. I can't sit here confidently and say that. I'd rather have a guy with all the tools in the world like Richardson waiting in the wings. So I think that's the play for us here, Trevor. I think Atlanta trying to get up to 3 from 8 to position themselves to take the 3rd quarterback off the board.
How do we feel? Because now we're in the negotiation room with the 2 gentlemen on the screen.
That's a stretch.
I'm looking at the draft chart, the draft pick evaluator, and we're at 1,400 points for Atlanta's number 8 overall. It's 2,200 for Arizona's number 3 overall. Connor, I feel like it would take at least a second this year.
Yep.
You don't want to give up a second next year, but like, what if they gave up a second next year and then also asked for the Cardinals 4th next year in return?
Yeah, a swap is reasonable, I think.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that? Does that get the deal done?
Yeah, I'm not the one on the phone, by the way. You got to talk to them.
That's right. All right.
I like it. I'm Atlanta.
Okay,
cool.
Right.
Sure.
How do you guys feel about it?
I'd be good with it because you're getting a couple extra top 100 picks. You're giving up a day 3. The Cardinals need all the assets they can get. So I feel comfortable.
And they want to get out of the pick. That's the biggest thing is this is their out, right? Other than this, I don't see an out. Just an aside to me that's fascinating. I spent a good couple hours yesterday with a hardcore ATL fan, one-on-one. I was taking him to the airport. It's my brother-in-law, basically, and he has followed the Falcons for 30 years. And I was like, all right, I'm going to pick your brain. I'm going to do a little pre-funk for tomorrow's podcast. Like, are you interested in Lamar? No, they're hard set on Ridder. I was like, well, what about Anthony Richardson? Because he lives in the South. He'd seen plenty of Anthony Richardson. He was like, they believe they're going on Richardson. They're not going for another quarterback. And I was like, that's interesting. That's not what I would have said. And again, this is what we're doing mock, but I think you get a little pushback from the ATL fans. They believe in Ridder probably more than we do. But in terms of the trade, God bless them. They're going to have to live with that one way or another. Might work great. Might not. We liked Ridder, but it's a question of where you're going to go ceiling wise. As far as the trade goes, I think we'll take it because it gets us out of the pick and we stay high, right? This isn't like we're trading down to 25 and losing any possibility of getting what we might have taken at 3. We're going to get a similar asset, plus we're going to get more assets, and Lord knows we need them.
Okay, so then we'll make the deal happen. What we normally do on the show is the team, whoever's controlling the team that's trading, you still control the same team. So we'll move from Atlanta to number 3. We'll make the call at number 3. We'll take Anthony Richardson. So we will still be on the clock